Welcome to Signed, Sealed, Delivered Summer on Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark movie fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
Today, we are discussing Signed, Sealed, Delivered for Christmas, which originally aired on the Hallmark Channel on November 23rd, 2014. Hang out with us when the podcast is over. We'd love to have you follow us on Instagram. We have 2 Instagram accounts. You can find us there at Girls Gone Hallmark and at Megan and Wendy.
Come jump over into our Facebook group, Girls Gone Hallmark. This is an exclusive, private Facebook group for Hallmark fans. We'd love you to join.
We would. And if you want to catch up with past episodes or get the latest Hallmark news, check out our website. It is girlsgonehallmark.com. You can find show notes for every episode, plus tons of Hallmark-related content. Over there, you can also sign up for our newsletter, so you never miss a bit of news from us, girlsgonehallmark.com. And I think we should jump right into a synopsis.
All right. When the beloved quartet of postal detectives discover a urgent letter written to God on Christmas Eve, they delay their own plans to help a little girl whose mother's life hangs in the balance.
This movie was directed by Kevin Fair. Kevin currently has 44 directing credits, including recent movies like Legend of the Lost Locket, A Season for Family, Checkin' It Twice, and 3 Bed, 2 Bath, 1 Ghost. As for Signed, Sealed, Delivered, Kevin directed episodes 3 and 4 from the 1-season series. After Signed, Sealed, Delivered Christmas, he will go on to direct all but 2 of the movies.
The story for Signed, Sealed, Delivered for Christmas was written by Brandy Harkonnen and Carrie Leinhart and John J. Samar. The teleplay was by Martha Williamson.
Rob Estes plays Jordan. Rob has 70 acting credits with 2 upcoming projects, according to IMDb. He's probably best known for his role as Kyle McBride on Melrose Place between 1993 and 1999. But Wendy's first exposure to Rob Estes was in the USA crime drama Silk Stockings. Since the 90s, he's gone on to appear in shows like Suddenly Susan, Gilmore Girls, and 90210. Browsing through his IMDb, I see he returns to Signed, Sealed, Delivered in a future movie, and I'm not sure I'm ready. Oh, gosh.
Whew. Marianne Ross plays Oliver's former Sunday school teacher, Mrs. Ginzinger, in this movie. She has a staggering 197 acting credits and will always and forever be known as Mrs. Cunningham from her 255 episodes of Happy Days. She's been in just about everything, including the previously mentioned Gilmore Girls as Lorelai's Grand Tricks. She also starred in 2 other projects for Martha Williamson, Promised Land and Touched by an Angel. At 95, Marianne Ross is still working. She recently voiced Grandma SquarePants in SpongeBob SquarePants earlier this year. 95 years old.
She's I can't just sit around the house. Get me something
Seriously.
to do. Marcy T. House plays the nurse Odette. Marcy has appeared in several Hallmark projects, including Making Waves, A Winning Team, and Cranberry Christmas, a movie that we'll be reviewing this summer in Christmas in July.
Ava Telek plays Hannah, the little girl whose mom is sick. Ava has worked steadily since this movie. She's been seen in My Christmas Family Tree and Gilded Newport Mysteries Murder at the Breakers.
Let me hear your first impression.
I didn't know what to expect after loving the episodes from the 1 season. But this movie, I plan to watch it every Christmas from here on out.
Right? My first impression
It's so freaking good. Tell me.
show me a better Hallmark Christmas movie. I'll wait.
Seriously. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Why hasn't anyone ever said, hey, guys, you know what? You need to watch Signed, Sealed, because you could watch it on your own. It's a standalone, I think. Don't you think so?
I was actually thinking about this because when the announcement about Signed, Sealed, Delivered new movies this year came out, I don't know if you remember, we had talked about what are we going to do? Are we just going to skip them? We've never seen Signed, Sealed, Delivered. Should we watch the whole series? Should we watch them in the vacuum? And I'm just imagining us watching them in the vacuum because I did read over the synopses of some of the future movies. And obviously we know where things are headed with some of these couples. There's 2 movie titles with weddings in them. Anyway, I just imagine us like clocking in at movie 14 and being like, what's up, guys? And having no concept of the history of these 4 and not understanding like how Oliver and Shane came to be. I do think you could watch this movie in a vacuum, and I do think it would be good. I think it's great given its history.
Yes. Yes. I plan to watch it again. Honestly, I was looking at its original air date and I'm like, November 23rd was that Thanksgiving weekend, I wonder, back in 2014. And I was like, this would be a good movie to watch like Thanksgiving weekend or the day you're going to decorate the Christmas tree. I don't know, something. And I really would like to watch it with my daughter. I just want to see her take on it. I loved everything about this movie.
I cried at so many different points throughout this movie.
Same.
There were so many points I was like, oh God, what are you doing to me? And
I was like, how could they pack so much in 90 minutes or whatever it comes out to be? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not even. It's 82 minutes. Your point about, I was worried about jumping from like the series back to the movies because I was like, the series is so good and I love that they're like short and sweet and compact. And are they going to be able to bring what I loved back to the movies? And as of the recording of this, I've watched 2 movies after the series, and so far so good. I'm all in.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Now let's talk about what we liked.
Okay.
My notes look different than any notes I've ever written for a movie. And I will tell you, my first line in the liked, it says, I don't even know where to start. And then after that, I just listed like everything like I liked about the movie. I can't articulate it. So that's where I'm at here.
Yeah, for me, the things that I liked were scenes and moments in this movie as opposed to being like this acting choice or whatever. There were so many scenes that I found very powerful.
Agree. So can I start with my first one then?
Please.
I loved how this movie picks up. We don't really know what happened in the letter, right? With the letter, what was in the letter that Oliver sent to Holly. But what I like is that Shane is not waiting around for Oliver, and she's almost pursuing Jordan a little bit, like going out with him, dancing with him.
And one of the things I liked about that is in the opening scenes, it feels like Jacob. Is that his name?
Who's Jacob?
I'm calling
Jordan.
him Jacob, and
Rob
I'll tell you why.
Jordan.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I have him as Jacob multiple times, which we'll get to him. I did see that. Jordan feels like competition to Oliver in the begetting. And Oliver seems to be reacting to that. The way that Shane is interacting with him, Jordan makes a comment about dancing with Shane at the gala. Oliver even goes so far as to say, you're using the dance moves that you learned in lessons with me with another man, as if she's cheating on him. Yeah. And so I liked that it's set up that way. And I think the reveal about Jordan is stronger because we don't have any. It was a 1-2 punch for me when we find out who he is.
Totally.
Because as much as I was like, I think it's fun that there's someone else here for Shane, Oliver has not made a decision, not outwardly. So Shane shouldn't just sit around being like, I wonder what was in the letter. I wonder what his wife's going to choose. She doesn't have to wait around for that. And so even though I want them to be together, I was happy for Shane in that moment and happy for a little bit of a curveball.
Yes, me too. Exactly. Okay. Tell me what you liked. I have a whole list, but
Me too. If I can just jump to the scene with Jordan and Oliver in the chapel in the hospital.
Yes.
And he tells the story of the 4th wise man to Oliver. And he says, you're so kind to everyone, but awfully hard on yourself. That was one of those moments where there were so many gut punch lines to me in this movie. And then he mentions times in Oliver's life where people have shown up for him, but he hasn't fully been aware of it. And he says, like the Christmas tree growing out of the rock. And And in my notes, it says he was there. And Oliver looks at him and he was like, you don't work for the post office. And he says, I never said I did. And it's a very subtle reveal that we've got this little angel in the form of Jordan Marley.
Yeah, so I rewatched that scene again. I'm telling, even you talking about it right now, I have like tingles in my nose. I'm like, it was so freaking incredible. Like, the scene was so well written and so well acted between these two. And when you see Oliver have this realization when Jordan mentions the tree growing out of the rock or holding it, whatever, I was like, oh my God. Oh my gosh. And then I was wondering, okay, I'm like, is he an angel? Is he God? Is he an angel? I don't understand. It was blowing my mind.
Yes. And I think maybe it's a little bit like they never come right out and say
Sure.
who he is. And there was something about him that I'll talk about later, that some otherworldly presence, right? Like he's not a postal employee. Obviously, like when he disappears from behind the bus towards the end.
Yeah.
But I love both Shane and Oliver are able to open up to him in a way they haven't been able to open up to each other. And Shane's, I don't know what it is about you that I'm able to say these things. And he's, I just think you are ready. He just provides this safe space for them. When he and Oliver play chess, that could have been a really boring scene. Not a lot happens. Like it's slow and it's dark, but just the way Oliver speaks, I could listen to Oliver speak on a loop. Please put it on a podcast, like a Sleep With Me podcast. Put it in my ears. And I will sleep like a baby.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I thought that scene was really great between them. They're drinking the Yoo-hoo, playing chess. Like, so good. Back to the chapel scene. When Jordan tells Oliver, take care of that little letter writer, he's obviously referring to Shane. And I just was like, woof. Like, I'm telling you, I watched it a second time. I cried my eyes out a second time. I thought it was so really good.
Norman gets his stocking. Did you see the scene where Norman finally gets a stocking?
I did, yes.
And he's just
because
like,
he had never had one, right?
Yeah, we're continuing this like foster care story. And just the way Norman speaks very plainly about his life in the foster care system, about obviously what are like traumatic and life altering, right? They turned him into the person that he is, but he just speaks about it as very matter of factly. And when he looks at the stockings, oh, thanks, Rita. And she's, I didn't do that. Oh, that stocking, sweet Norman. I just want to put him in a box.
I know. I have a couple of, I'm just going to say it now. I laughed out loud when Norman was practicing his poses for the Christmas pageant. And he's like, this is I can't even remember the lines right now, but he was like animating like the way he was like presenting like the baby Jesus, or it was so funny. It was so funny where I didn't expect like a lot of like comedy in this movie, but there was something about that scene that made me laugh out loud. And then when they were Christmas caroling and the dog rolls over and plays dead.
Yeah, this was a really heavy movie, and I appreciated those scenes and the lightness of the fact that Rita's a terrible baker.
Yes.
And they're all just like forcing it down, infused throughout the episode. I loved it. Perfection. Excellent balance there.
Oh my God, when Norman says, she asks, you don't like my baking? And he says something like, I don't like the way they taste, or
I don't like the way it feels in my mouth. Yes. I love it.
So good. Okay. A couple of other highlights that I really loved. The scene between Oliver and Shane when he presents her with the letter that we learn that she has written.
Yes.
And oh my God, when she turns and walks away and he says, Shane, and he calls out after her.
What did you call me? Yes.
I just really loved it. But more importantly, you know how I feel about Christmas, right?
I do.
I have all this like weird childhood, I'm not going to call it trauma, but not the greatest experience. And I could put myself in Shane's, of course, my dad did leave, but I could put myself in her shoes, and Oliver is telling her the message here was like letting Christmas do what it's supposed to do. And man, that just really took my breath away. It just was perfection.
I loved the final scene. First, Oliver walks in, finds a Christmas tree with a note from Jordan. What you do with it is yours. It was lovely. I was already primed. But when he turns around and they all come back, I just thought the whole walk, like his walk back to the office, obviously at some point he gets in a cab, which the Christmas tree, and they all walk in, and I just go, oh, they came back. I really thought I had hit like all of the emotional pinnacles of this episode. And then in they walk,
Right.
we missed you. And they have their lovely moment with the four of them together. Just was the cherry on top of this movie.
I don't know if you noticed, but did you see what he was like decorating the tree with? Rita's tiara and Norman's cummerbund. Because when he was telling the story about his time decorating that tree, when he was telling it to his Sunday school teacher, Marion Ross, and he was like, oh, we just decorated with whatever we could find on the beach that day, seashells, etc. And then so like he was decorating that tree with whatever was in their office. And then of course we see Shane's necklace hanging there. He gets it back for her.
Gets it back.
So good.
I loved it. All right, let's talk wishes.
Okay, here, no notes. I have none. No wishes.
I don't have wishes. I just have two questions. One, how exactly many lost letters are going to find their way back to Shane? We're at two.
Two. Yeah.
Seems like a lot. And the other is, I was very confused, and I thought it was both lovely and confusing with the storyline around returning her letter. This whole time he's like trying to return this letter that was written to God, and he didn't know that it was Shane's letter. That's my understanding. It didn't seem like he knew it was Shane's letter until right before he gave it to her. But I thought, this child has written this letter to God. Obviously, it gets lost in the mail. It doesn't make it where it's supposed to go. But how is returning it? I know there was that other envelope. What did I miss here? Like, how does returning it help? He says, oh, he was giving you hope all of those years. I was very confused.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you because I'm not entirely certain.
Because I was like, if I wrote this letter, I imagine like little 8-year-old me writes this letter asking like my deepest heart's desire to God. And then 40 years later, it gets whatever, 20, 30 years later, it's returned to me. How? I don't understand where that's helpful. I was confused by that. Other than giving us a deeper glimpse into who Shane was and where her heartbreak around Christmas comes from, I thought all of that was very lovely. I thought Oliver's speech about like, he couldn't give you what you wanted, but he was giving you hope. That was lovely, but he gave her hope for something that never came to fruition.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's all.
I would love if anybody postables who have watched this movie time and time again can weigh in. Please email us, girlsgonehallmark@gmail.com. We would love to further have a discussion about it.
We would.
Yes.
All right, let's talk. Did you see that?
I have two.
Go for it.
When Oliver and Shane are talking about her letter, she turns away and he reaches out to her, tearing her sleeve. But I swear he reaches out for the other arm, and she turns back around and the opposite sleeve is torn. Did you notice at all?
No.
I'm like, it's messing with my head. I was like imagining it, and I was like, okay, wait, if she turned this way, then he would have grabbed this, and then with this arm, but anyway. And then the other thing is when Oliver gets back to the dead letter office, and it is decorated straight out of Pottery Barn. I didn't hate it. It was like beautiful, like clear hurricane. What are those called? Vases or whatever.
Yeah.
With candles. It was gorgeous.
It was.
Did you have
Okay.
any? Did you
I
see
do.
that? Okay.
First, the reason I was calling Jordan Jacob is because his last name's Marley. Jordan Marley, Jacob Marley, A Christmas Carol. That cannot be accidental. Jacob Marley is the ghost who visits Ebenezer Scrooge.
Interesting.
And
I'm sure.
You're going to be visited by 3 ghosts. That's why I'm like, is he an angel? Is he just someone, a deliverer of messages. Given Oliver's faith, it stands to reason that he was meant to be an angel. That's all. And we recorded a review for the 9 Lives of Christmas a couple days ago, and that will come out next month. But there was identical product placement in this movie for both Walmart and Folgers.
I didn't even notice.
At one point, Norman is setting up like a table with snacks, and there's a perfectly placed Walmart grocery bag on the table. And then at another point, they're making coffee straight out of Folgers. Truly identical product placement. These movies did come out around the same time, so they must have just had a good deal with them.
I didn't even notice those things in this movie.
Countdown to Christmas, brought to you by Walmart and Folgers in 2014.
Huh?
What did you rate this movie?
5 stars.
Me too. Big old huge stars. Perfection.
I can name on one hand. I don't think I've rated a lot of movie 5 stars. This was so good.
I agree.
I'm so happy we're watching it.
I know. We are just getting started with Signed, Sealed, Delivered Summer. We hope you're enjoying it. If you love this podcast, we love your 5-star ratings and reviews. We'd love for you to leave them in Apple Podcasts or Spotify or the podcast app of your choice. In the meantime, hop into our Facebook group, Girls Gone Hallmark, and let us know what you thought. Is there a better Christmas movie? I dare you to name one. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Oh, bye.